AI and the end of truth as we know it. Now, truth isn't disappearing, it's being buried. It's being buried under an avalanche of content, articles, videos, images, voices, all competing for attention. Some of it is real, much of it, perhaps most of it, isn't. And increasingly, there is no obvious way to tell the difference. This changes everything. The problem is no longer finding information, it's knowing what, if anything, you can trust. This didn't start with AI, but AI has turned it into something far bigger, faster, and harder to escape. Years before generative AI came on the scene, my good friend Professor Dionysius Demetis and I warned that we were heading in this direction. In Science's First Mistake, we argued that many modern scientists made a subtle but dangerous error. They began to treat models of reality as if they were reality. Models simplify, they reduce complexity, they deny uncertainty. That's their purpose. But over time, many started trusting those simplified versions more than the messy, unpredictable world they were meant to represent. For many, science simplified into scientism, forgetting that the models, the map, is not the terrain. Then along came AI, which took that mistake and scaled it up. What you read online, what you see in images, what you hear in audio, increasingly is not directly downloaded from reality, but from AI systems, generating versions, variations of reality. These are not lies in the traditional sense. They are constructions, outputs shaped by data, patterns, and optimization. And they are everywhere. In the technological construction of reality, Dionysius and I pushed this insight further. Reality as we experience is no longer something we simply observe. It is something filtered, shaped, and increasingly built by technological systems. AI doesn't just distort reality, it helps create it. For most of history, truth had one big advantage. It required effort. It took time to write something credible. It took skill to produce convincing media. It took resources to spread it widely. Then that very effort acted as a filter. AI has removed that filter. Now, a persuasive article can be generated in seconds. A realistic image can be created from nothing. And the voice can be cloned almost perfectly. The result isn't just more misinformation, it's the perception of too much information. So much that truth gets lost in the noise. Videos can be faked, audios can be fabricated, events can be simulated. You can't trust what you see and hear anymore. When everything looks real, nothing feels reliable. But the real damage isn't just fake content, it's the doubt it creates. Once people know that anything can be faked, they start questioning everything. Real evidence is too easily dismissed as fake. At the same time, false claims can be defended as just another version of truth. Truth doesn't get disproven, it gets undermined. And then comes the most powerful shift of all, personalization. AI doesn't just create content, it creates content, it creates your content to reinforce your personal biases. AI learns what you believe, what you react to, what keeps you engaged. Then it feeds you a version of this reality that fits. Not because it's true, but because it works for you. It convinces you. But as Nietzsche said, what convinces us is not necessarily true. It is merely convincing. Two people can look at the same issue and see completely different worlds. Both convincing, both coherent, both reinforced over time. Now, this isn't disagreement, it's fragmentation. This is exactly what Dionysus and I warned about. When reality is mediated by technology, it stops being something we share. It becomes something we experience individually, shaped by systems we don't control. And that has consequences. Democracy depends on shared facts. Trust depends on common ground. Debate depends on some agreement about reality. Take those away and things don't just collapse overnight. They drift into confusion, into polarization, into a world where influence matters more than accuracy. Here's the uncomfortable part. You think you are choosing what to believe, but you're choosing from options that have already been filtered, ranked, and presented to you. What you are being fed is curated. Your search results are shaped. Your reality is adjusted, not necessarily by a person, but by a system designed to keep your attention. And that system is very, very good at it. This is not the end of truth. Facts still exist. Reality hasn't vanished. But shared truth, the kind that allows societies to function, is under pressure like never before. What's replacing it isn't a single false narrative. It's millions of competing ones. So what now? There's no easy fix. Technology can help, detection tools, verification systems, but it won't solve the problem completely. This is an arms race, and there is no end in sight. We will just have to work harder to question what we see, to check what we read, to sit with uncertainty instead of rushing to certainty. Truth is no longer something you can assume. It's something you have actively to pursue. And that brings us to the real point. The danger isn't that AI will trick you once. No, over time, AI will shape what feels true so subtly that you stop noticing the difference, that you stop asking questions, that you stop caring. And once that happens, truth doesn't need to be destroyed. It will have been ignored. Thank you.